Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience in joining. Want to especially thank our
Good morning, ma'am.
want to especially thank our facilitators who are here present. Mrs. Satiga, please, could you mute or just your background is quiet so that you don't distract? I want to thank our facilitators for your patience joining with us today. The challenges we have faced in commencing 1 hour behind schedule, just the reality that we face in being able to promote our professional and administrative ideals. Nevertheless, perseverance is the key to success, and I'm happy that we have here in the location where I am. We have 8 of us gathered, residents, and we have the screen projected. I want to believe that that will make for a better learning activity than if we're all in our silos, our devices. So that said, I would like us to start with a little prayer before I give my marks. Can I ask Mrs. Soruma to come and take the microphone and give the opening prayer? Let us sing. The mighty name of Father, I want to take time to appreciate to learn as over that as men, oh God. Just for me, as many that are connected to this, as many that are connected, as oh God, that they too connected and they will learn their mighty. Our Father will say thank you for everything. For in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. To that we commit our thanks into God's hand. We cannot be a Nigerian without being prayer, because what other clients take for granted, we need to pray and fast for it to happen. So I'm very comfortable that we have invited God to hear our meeting, and He will have mercy on us, give us an outcome. I will have some opening remarks to give on this occasion of the one-day capacity building program on grantsmanship and innovation. Grantsmanship in research and innovation. It's supposed to have taken place at the Professor Chike Edosian Secretariat today, Tuesday, 19th November 2024, as well as via Zoom, but we've had to change location right earlier. And I wish to welcome warmly everyone to this one-day capacity building program of grantsmanship, research and innovation, being organized by the Delta State Ministry of Environment, Asaba, in collaboration with National Center for Energy and Environment. I want to also extend the greetings from the Honorable Commissioner for Environment, Mr. Jamani Tomi Ejiro. One of the services expected to be rendered by the Ministry of Environment is upgrading of knowledge and research work by professionals, staff, students, and researchers. In August 2021, the ministry sponsored staff to participate in a program on systematic reviews organized by the Medical Women's Association of Nigeria. In January this year, ministry organized a webinar on using Google Docs for online surveys. This program today is the latest in the efforts of the ministry to promote research and innovation across of our work. It is also hoped that capacity building and grantsmanship will boost the ability of the staff of the ministry to avail themselves of numerous funding opportunities in the environment sector, particularly climate change. With time, the ministry will be strategically positioned to fulfill the following: development and implementation of a research policy, conduction of operational and organizational research on preserving the environment in collaboration with other departments, agencies, institutions, and parastatals, ensuring compliance to research ethics, strengthening routine collection and processing of data and statistics relating to the ministry and the environment sector, publication of annual bulletin consisting of data on the environment. On Thursday, 21st October 2024, the permanent secretary in the ministry met with staff corps and volunteers for the Department of Planning, Research and Statistics to strategize on how to achieve objectives. Since then, the following have been accomplished: planning for the organization of the State Council on Environment between January and March 2025, after the National Council on Environment, which is going to take place in December, and Abeokuta, Ogun State, that concluded. Commencement of the registration of all non-governmental organizations working on the environment. Monitoring of the siltation works in Oshimili South local government area for flood control. Appointment of heads of planning, research and statistics units in the Department of Planning, Research and Statistics. Cataloging of books in the library of the ministry. Addressing the omission of the Ministry of Environment, Delta State 2024 Statistics Yearbook. Contacting the Hospitality Department of Dennis Osadebe University, as well as the Federal University of Petroleum Resources, to become trainers and certifiers of food vendors. Fostering of public-private partnership with plans to enter into memoranda of understanding with relevant proponents. Identification of research topics such as effective interventions in mitigating the impact of air pollution with suits, strategies to reduce carbon footprints in sub-Saharan Africa or in low and medium income countries, cost effectiveness of virtual programs such as the one we are having now for capacity building of professionals, strategies to reduce carbon footprints. Sorry, I said that before. Role of professional groups in strengthening institutions in sub-Saharan Africa. Impact on corruption on development. And finally, health implications of improper disposal of medical waste, sewage, or solid waste. We've also started liaising with other ministries and corporate bodies and centers, just like the National Center for Energy and Environment, for training in grantsmanship. That's the one we are doing now. It is hoped that by the end of this event, many more of our objectives will be achieved, and this will go a long way to contribute to the more agenda of His Excellency the Governor, Right Honorable Elder Sheriff Uborewore, with regards to environmental sustainability. Thank you all for coming, and God bless. I'm Dr. Mrs. Mini, that is short for Mini Osechi, Permanent Secretary, Delta State Ministry of Environment, Asaba. So going by our timetable, I believe that I should hand over to Dr. Emmanuel Emerybe or Dr. Emmanuel Ogbomida, two Emmanuels, to take us on with the welcome / context setting and other formalities. Thank you very much for your time and patience.
Thank you very much for your very detailed opening remark, Madam. We shall be having, I think, about 3 sessions today to be coordinated by my humble self and Dr. Akanimo Odon. Dr. Akanimo will be joining us maybe about 30 minutes from now because he's currently engaged in one of his activities. Having said that, I would like to welcome everyone to this very important webinar on the fundraising and grantmanship in research and innovation, being organized by the Delta State Ministry of Environment in collaboration with the National Center for Energy and Environment, Energy Commission of Nigeria. The National Center for Energy and Environment is a research center of the Energy Commission of Nigeria and is located at the University of Benin. We are indeed very excited to have you join us today as we explore the various strategies for securing funding to support groundbreaking research and innovation. At NCE, our commitment to advancing research and development, especially in the areas of sustainable energy and environmental conservation, is unwavering. We are dedicated to pushing the frontiers of scientific knowledge to address real-world challenges. However, the journey to impactful research and innovation is not solely driven by academic excellence. It requires effective resource mobilization and also securing the necessary financial support, whether through government grants, international funding agencies, or corporate partnership or private donors, is a very crucial aspect for turning visionary ideas into tangible outcomes. In today's session, or in today's webinar, we will dig deep into the significance of fundraising and partnership in ensuring the success of research initiatives. Topics will include identifying and engaging the right funding sources, crafting compelling proposals, building sustainable partnerships, and mastering the intricacies of budget management. We will also highlight the crucial role strategic grant writing plays in assessing resources to prepare research breakthrough. Our goal for this webinar is to provide you with the required skills and insights needed to enhance your ability to secure research funding effectively. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to a productive and insightful webinar. By way of trying to, introduce ourselves before we continue the today's presentation, I would like, if possible, with the permission of the Permanent Secretary, if it is possible for us to introduce ourselves from your own end, so that we'll be able to engage sufficiently with one another. What we just want to hear is your name, your role, and what you hope to gain from this webinar. This will help us build a sense of community and collaboration as we move forward. Your permission, Permanent Secretary.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Mrs. Emmanuel, Permanent Secretary, Delta State Ministry of Environment.
Thank you. My name is Ofuye Benesitesa, Assistant Director, Ministry of Environment, Delta State.
I am Ozoma Kingsley, Deputy Director, Forestry Department, Ministry of Environment.
Oruma Rebecca, Deputy Director, Environmental Conservation Department, Ministry of Environment.
I am Olusegun Papa, Procurement Officer, representing the Director of Ministry of Environment.
I'm Mr. Research Team, Chief Accountant, Ministry of Environment.
I'm Mrs. Patience Owiwu, Deputy Director, Department of Climate Change.
Working Ahmed, Assistant Chief Scientific Officer, Delta State Ministry of Environment, Ecology Department.
Ogbomida Juliet, Senior Admin Officer, Israel.
Those of us in the location have finished introducing themselves, so maybe those online can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. From the National Center for Energy and Environment, we have three of us. Dr. Akanimo Odon will be joining us shortly. And we have Dr. Inemeka Emerebe, a Chief Research Officer of the National Center for Energy and Environment. My humble self is Dr. Emmanuel Ogbomida. I'm currently the Acting Director of the National Center for Energy and Environment. Before I start my presentation, I would like to give a brief synopsis of our collaborating partner, who is also going to join us shortly in this presentation, so that we have a comprehensive overview of the caliber of person that is also making a presentation today. Dr. Akanimo Odon is an accomplished environmental and strategic management expert who incidentally will be joining us shortly because of his tight engagement. He holds a PhD degree in environmental management from Lancaster University and certifications in business and enterprises from Cambridge University, Stafford University, and MIT. Dr. Odon has served as African Strategic Advisor for multiple institutions, including Lancaster University, University of London, and Zurich Elite Business School. He is the founder of Flexi Learn, a platform for distant learning in Africa, and the principal consultant at Everofly Consulting UK. As a chair of the African Union Scientific Research and Innovation Council, UK, Dr. Akan is also a board member of the Africa Technology Policy Study Network. He has shaped policy and innovation strategies across Africa. His work includes mentoring, training, and securing high-value grants, such as £7 million for the Recirculate project at the National Center for Energy and Environment and the University of Benin, and £20 million for ocean management. This distinguished international scholar, renowned for his proven expertise in winning high-value grants, crafting impactful proposals, and mentoring emerging talent, is here with us this morning to guide us through the inspiring voyage of his remarkable success story. Before I round off my presentation, Dr. Akanimo Odon will be joining us. Permanent Secretary Man, would you give me permission to share my slide as I make my presentation?
Yes, please go ahead.
Can you see the slide?
Yes. Please go ahead and share your slides. You are a co-host. Just to share your slides. I think we can see it's projected.
You can see it. All right. Thank you very much. And I just want to welcome you once again to this fundraising and grantmanship in research and innovation. My presentation will be focusing on.
First as a publisher, pioneering music rights and publisher rights to produce.
Can you hear me, please? Hello.
Yes, please, just go ahead.
Hello, Chief. What's up?
Can you hear me, please?
I'm here. Okay, sir. Okay.
Hello.
What is it now? Oh, okay.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. This presentation has 8 components, which include introduction to grant proposal writing, preparing to write a grant proposal, components of a grant proposal, format and styles of a grant proposal, writing techniques for grants, review and submission process, post-submission action, and at the end, conclusion. At the end of this presentation, it is expected that participants should know what grant is and is not, and where to find grant opportunities. Learn to help your organizations be grant ready, know the core components of a grant proposal, and experience how to develop a proposal from beginning to the end. And I'm very sure that many of us have been involved in grant writing, and many of us have also been successful, and some have also not been successful. The purpose of this presentation is to help us understand the proposal development process with emphasis to provide you with the basic proposal development skills you need to write a general grant proposal. The objective of today's webinar is to teach you about being grant ready, provide an overview of the main components of a proposal, then finally provide some writing tips, to help you write a strong proposal. By way of introduction, I think many of us know what a grant is and what a proposal is. But by way of refreshing our memory, a grant is a financial award and normally provided by a government agency, corporation, or foundation, or other organizations to fund specific ideas, initiatives, or projects. A grant is a sum of money given to an organization, especially a government, for a particular purpose. Unlike loans, grants are typically non-repayable, meaning the recipient is not required to return the funds, provided they or he or she adhere to the terms and conditions set by the funder. Now, what is a proposal? It is a formal document that outlines a plan or idea to achieve specific goals or address a particular problem. it is often used, proposals are often used, to persuade decision makers or funding organizations to support the proposed initiative, idea, project, or a solution. Now, what is grant proposal? We've talked about what grant is and what a proposal is. Then the combination of these two words, grant proposal, what does it really mean to a layman or to a researcher or an academic? It is a formal document normally submitted to a funding organization or a donor to request specifically financial support. It could either be financial support or maybe use of equipment, but is a request, that is the actual word, requesting for financial support for a specific project or program or initiative. Grant proposals are typically submitted to funding organizations, either government agencies, corporations, private foundations, or non-profit organizations that is offering such a grant. Now, for you to submit a grant, you must have the ability to put your ideas together, which means you need to put your ideas in writing. And there are formats that you need to adopt in writing your proposal. Therefore, proposal writing and formats is a structured process of drafting a formal document with the aim of securing fund for a particular project or an idea. It is a critical component of grantmanship because it provides the structure and techniques needed, to create a clear, persuasive, and impactful proposal. Therefore, what is grantmanship, if I may ask? It is an art and also a science, which means grantmanship is both an art and a science. It is the process of designing, writing, and submitting grant proposals to secure funding from various sources, such as government agencies, private foundations, or corporations. It encompasses the strategies, skills, and techniques required to secure funding through grants and ensure successful project implementation in consonance or alignment with the funder's expectation. Grantmanship is usually a very hard work, but it gets easier with practice over time, good planning, and organization. What are the importance of grant proposal? For you to embark on proposal writing, on grantmanship, there must be something that is attracting you, to engage in this process. Grant proposals are very key. It is a tool for organizations, either researchers or individuals, to seek external funding, to support their initiative or their project. It also allows an organization to share its mission, goals, and objectives with prospective funders. As soon as you submit your grant proposal, you are indirectly also sharing your mission statement, your vision, your goals, and objectives with the prospective funders. Before your proposal was submitted, the funders may not know anything about you. But as soon as you submit a proposal about your idea and initiative, you now have the opportunity to share your mission and your goals with the funders. Now, it also assists organizations in developing partnership and collaborations because your proposal, if successful, will form a relationship with the funding organization, which from time to time you engage as you also carry out your project and also share the project outcomes on a regular basis with the funders. It also assists organizations in improving their overall fundraising effort. Now, preparing to write a grant proposal, what do you need to do? The first question you ask yourself in writing a grant proposal is, who has the money to give to you? Because this is the first step in going for a grant, because you need to determine who has the funds to fund your idea. The second step is to also make sure that your grant proposal matches the requirements of the funding organization. There are two people involved in this process: the proponent, which you incidentally are the one requesting for money, and the prospect, which is the funding organization. So the proponent and the prospect must work together by way of, submitting your grant to the proponent, to the prospect, to ensure that your idea is reviewed, and if supported, you carry out the project. The success of a grant proposal begins with first identifying the right funding source. With the right funding source, you can determine which idea you need to, submit to the funding organization. This involves determining which organization, which agencies or individuals have funds available to support your ideas based on their priorities. Now, having determined who has the money to fund your idea, you now need to know who has the capacity to receive grants. It is not every individual that has the capacity to receive grants. Despite you have submitted a fantastic proposal, you must fall into these categories before you can receive a grant, to support your initiative. First, you must be a government organization registered for you to be able to receive a grant from funding organizations. You must also either be an education organization, or a non-profit organization, or for-profit organization, other than small businesses or small businesses. Individuals also can also receive a grant. We have different types of grants, and also different funders. The different types of grants include the government agencies grants. Under this, you have, for example, you have the USAID, you have the National Institute of Health or UNESCO. In Nigeria, we have the PTDF, or the National Research Council. We have the private foundation grant, like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Ford Foundation. These are private foundations that also support research. Corporate foundation grants, like, for instance, we have ExxonMobil, we have Shell supporting research initiatives in Nigeria. Then we have international organizations like the World Bank. We have the United Nations Development Programs. Also, the non-profit organization grants, like the Rotary International, Save the Children. Then academic institution grants, some of us have heard about the Fulbright program, research grant from specific universities. Then we have individual philanthropies grant, like Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk, even Dangote, and many other people that are supporting research. At a time, we used to have Abiola also supporting research, and many other people within our ecosystem in Nigeria that are supporting research initiatives. Now, for you to be able to get a grant, you need to apply for, you need to submit an application. And in submitting an application, you need to follow a specific format and style. You have identified a potential funder, for instance, and now your organization needs to write a grant proposal that will win money to support your initiative or idea. Format and styles usually involves preparing a well-structured document tailored to the specific requirements of the funder. The format and style can vary based on the type of grant, the issuing organization, and the project scopes. But there are standard guidelines to follow, which I'm going to delve into in my next slide. Now, applying to a prospect or funding organization, you need to first start with a good idea. If you do not have a good idea, you cannot put together an award-winning proposal. Therefore, you need to start with a good idea. Therefore, you need to begin to reflect what kind of idea you are looking for. And your proposal must be a solution, not a plea. It must be addressing a problem, and therefore it must provide a solution to a specific problem. And you need to consider your proposal to be a lemonade. Therefore, before you can be funded. Now, when you are preparing to submit your grant, you must do what is called a background check on your audience. Your audience is what kind of organization are you going to submit this proposal to? What are their funding interests? It is not all funding organizations that will fund a specific idea. They must, for them to fund your idea, it means that your idea must align with their own interests. Therefore, you must first of all know your audience, the organization, and their funding interests. Then what are they going to fund, or what have they funded in the past? You must also know the type of project they have funded in the past, and who is going to make the decision, for funding, or who is going to approve your project or your proposal. You must know, at least have a background check on them, not knowing them physically, but you would have known their expertise and know the kind of project you are going to submit and how the reviewer session will come out. Now, when you are applying to the funding organization, you need to first identify which opportunities is available in the funding organization. And identifying this opportunity, you need to visit their website. There might be government website, for instance, if year in, year out, PTDF call for proposals. And for you to be able to understand the areas of interest from PTDF, you need to go to their website and check what they are capable of funding and what their interests are. You need to also understand their guidelines and priorities. Each funding organization has their guidelines and priority. You need to study the funder's instructions. This is very key. You need to, because each call comes with an instruction for the applicants to follow. In doing this, you want to check if you are eligible for the application. Otherwise, you may not be eligible for the application, and therefore submitting a proposal will just be an effort in futility. Then you need to also conduct a need assessment. Identify the problem you are going to solve, and you clearly define the issues or the opportunity your project aims to address. And having done the need assessment, you need to set clear goals on how you are going to achieve the project. First, your objectives must be very smart. Must be a smart objective, and you must also align with the funder's priority. If a funder is going to fund an environmental research, you cannot submit an energy project to a funder that is biased towards environment. Now, you need to also, in designing or preparing your proposal, you must be very meticulous in terms of the methodology you are going to use. You must also address the needs and provide solutions. You must write well, address your audience, and plan your time early enough. Now, there are different, you need to use a tone that is appealing to the funder. The tone must be persuasive effectively. It must be persuasive, which means your argument must appeal to your audience. If your argument is not appealing to your own audience, they may not be willing to fund your project. Your appeal is not for them to change their interest or their belief, but you need to sell your idea in a manner that the funders will be ready, to commit resources to your initiative. The proposal is also not a means to change their belief, and you will not be successful unless you match your project to their interest. If your project do not align with the funders' interest, you will not get funded. Now, there are some tricks in this business. In writing your proposal, you must write clearly, not in a complicated manner, because academics or some of us are good at using high-sounding words, undermining the people that are going to review your project, may not be in your own discipline, or may not be in the same field of expertise. So you must write clearly, not in a complicated manner. You must also write in the present tense about the situation today, unless you are asked to provide historical narratives or background, then you can do that. Then try to imagine the reader to be more or less a complete novice in your area. He is new. He may not have in details a full understanding of your discipline. So imagine that as an environmental scientist, a person that is going to read your proposal may not be an environmental scientist, and then you are using high-sounding words, to submit in writing your proposal. Definitely, you may not get a fair judgment, because he is going to judge your proposal based on his understanding. So try as much as possible to write clearly, not in complicated language. Never assume that the reader knows anything. Just assume that the reader does not know anything and you are the authority in that area, but you need to communicate. It's just like when you finish a research and you want to communicate the outcome to decision makers, maybe in the National Assembly or in the state. Definitely, they may not understand the jargons of research, but you need to communicate the research outcome or output to the policy makers in clear terms that they will be able to understand. Now, there are key elements of your proposal that you must begin to look at when you have developed an idea, or there is an initiative you want to, or you have identified a problem. The first thing you need to do is, who will benefit from your idea? Who will you work on? Who are those that are going to work in this project? What are you trying to achieve through this project? Where will the project take place? You are submitting a proposal without giving clear location where the project is going to domicile. You reside in Lagos, you are developing a project in Port Harcourt, and you stay in Lagos, and you are not giving clear location of where the project is going to take place. The judgment of the reviewers may not be sufficient enough to give you that grant, because he does not know the location of that project. Now, you must also provide a time frame. At the point of conceptualization, you must know that this project that I'm going to start will last for a period of 6 months, or is going to last for a period of 1 year. And this you must sufficiently communicate, to the funders from the beginning. And you must also know, provide, because there are so many people that are going to submit proposals to the funders. Then you must now begin to ask yourself, why is it that my project is important and it will attract support from these funders? How will you get the work done, which is the methodology? Now, this takes us to the format in which you need to structure your proposal together in a manner that you can submit the proposal for an award. Now, there are different components of every proposal. Now, when you are preparing to submit a proposal for an award, you must first understand that there must be a cover letter. There must be a title page. You must have developed executive summary. You must have a problem statement, goals and objectives, project descriptions and methodology, project design, timeline and milestones, budget and justification. For every budget you submit, there must be a justification, evaluation plan, and sustainability. If the project, if the funder stop funding the project, what is your sustainability plan? Do you have other source of income that will prepare you to, to continue with the same project? Or as soon as the funder stop funding, then the project comes to an end. Each of these components contributes to building a persuasive and comprehensive grant proposal, addressing funders' requirements and also demonstrating the value and feasibility of the proposed project. Now, the components highlighted are cover letter. And this, in developing your cover letter, you must put into consideration some key elements, which means that in developing your cover letter, there must be a brief introduction about your organization and the project as an opening session of your cover letter. You must provide a summary of funding requests and also its intended impact. What will be the impact of this project on the community or on the population which you intend to address their problem? You must also show gratitude, for the opportunity given to you, to participate in the granting process. Then, after the cover letter, now the cover letter comes after you have finished writing your proposal. And because this is the cover letter that you are going to attach to your proposal for submission. Now, in your proposal, there must be a title page. And the title page must contain basic information about the proposal. And it must be concise and organized. Key elements in your title page include the project title, applicant's organization's name, and contact information in case you are successful and they need to reach out to you, or even if you are unsuccessful, they also need to communicate to you the outcome. Now, name of the funder. For instance, if the project is going to be funded by PTDF, then you need to put it in your title page that this project is going to be supported by PTDF. Then the date of submission. For instance, we are submitting the proposal today. Then it means that it will carry today's date, which is 19th November 2024. Then the grant application number, if any. There are some grants that do not come with a number. And most international courts normally comes with a number. So you also put the number on your title page. This is the first thing the grant people will read before opening the document. This is the first thing the grant people will read. It should grab their attention. If you want them to read, go further to open your document and talk about what the grant is about. Now, having done that, the next section is the executive summary. This summarizes the entire proposal. The executive summary is normally developed after you have written the complete proposal. Then you need to summarize your thoughts that you have put in the proposal form. And key elements you need to look out for is that the executive summary will provide an overview of the problem and the proposed solution. It must also have the goals and objectives, the amount of money you are requesting for, and the expected outcome and impact. Usually, this executive summary is 1 page. Normally is a snapshot of the entire grant proposal. This is an opportunity to establish the foundations for the application. Thereby, you have to seek, you should, arouse the reader's interest. The executive summary will determine how the reader will feel, in going forward, opening your main proposal. Most often times, when the executive summary is poorly written, the reviewers will not open the proposal any longer, because that is the summary of the whole project that you have submitted for award. So not having a compelling executive summary that will arouse the interest of the reviewer, the reviewer may not go forward, to continue with the review process of your proposal. Therefore, some reviewers may not even read the entire proposal if the executive summary is poorly written. Now, having done the executive summary, the next section of your proposal is the problem statement or needs assessment. This explains the problem you intend to address. And there are some key elements you need to focus on when you are developing the problem statement. You provide a description of the issue because you understand the problem and the solutions you are going to provide. Therefore, you provide a description of the problem, including the significance and the urgency attached to this problem you intend to solve. Then you also need to provide the impact of this project or this problem you are trying to solve on the population or the community, if possibly your project is funded. Now, also the goals and objectives of the project need to be looked into. You need to define the desired outcomes of the project and the specific steps to achieve them. Key elements include the long-term outcome of the project, and also the objective must be specific. Specific in the sense that it must be smart, it must be measurable, it must be achievable, and must be relevant and time-bound. Being specific means that you are not expected, to use vague words in drafting your proposal. In terms of measurability of your proposal, your project must be able to, at least should be, there must be an opportunity to track the progress of your proposal or of your project when funders visit your location. Then the project must be attainable. There are some project proposals that are not attainable, bogus, and because of lack of in-depth knowledge of the problem. Therefore, the project must also be realistic. And if the project is not realistic, then it will not attract funding. And it must be timely. It must be time-bound and be specific. Now, project description. This is where the method you want to use, to meet your objectives. This is the meat of your proposal. This is the most important aspect of your grant writing proposal, because you are going to answer so many questions. what, why, when, where, and how in this methodology. How you intend to achieve your objective, what you are going to use, why do you think that achieving this objective will provide the necessary solution, and where you are going to provide the solution. It also explains how you will achieve your goals and objectives, and what methods you will use or you are going to employ to implement your project. It also explains the innovation of your solution, because this is where you are going to come up with your innovative idea in terms of the method you are going to use to achieve the set objectives. Your method and approach must be evidence-based, if at all possible, meaning that you are following acceptable standards, because you are not the first person to use that method. It means that other people have also used the method, and they have found it replicable. So your method must be a standard method or a standard practice that has been used before. It's also, this section also is where you have to drop your logic model. In your logic model, you are going to talk about who and how, and also what, with outputs and outcomes anticipated. As you explain what you will do to achieve your goals and objectives, you may also include, maybe occasionally, the Gantt chart, to provide context, through time, and more details on the how you will get it done. What method you will use to meet your objective is very key in your methodology. You also need to make sure that the methods are realistic, appropriate, and directly relate to the proposal. Don't invoke methods that are not in tandem with your proposal. You need to keep your writing very positive, and remember to allow your passion, bring out your passion into your writing to sell your idea, because your proposal is a selling point. So you need to bring your passion to bear and sell your ideas to the reviewers. Then, in your methodology, you need to be very sure to include why your project must be chosen among other projects that are the other proposals that have been submitted. Then you have to describe your project activities, as I said, in a Gantt chart. Then you can also use tables and charts to explain if there are complex areas that putting them in writing may be cumbersome. You can use charts and tables to simplify your submission. Now, there are some tricks. Every writing has its own trick. There are some tricks that you need to look at when writing your proposal. You need to write clearly and use short sentences. Very long sentences can be confusing. So use short sentences, and you need to write clearly. Do not use contractions or abbreviations. For instance, you want to say do not, you say don't. Will not, you say won't. Or is not, you say isn't. Instead of spelling it out, you try to use contractions. In proposal writing, try to avoid contractions. Then use the third person respondent, not the first person when writing. Try to highlight, for instance, if you have a lot of partnership and collaborations with other organizations, try to highlight this partnership and collaboration. Most of the time, you also request for letter of support from these partners to validate their collaboration with you. Then you also need to use verbs and use action verbs and minimize adjectives, in terms of in your writing. Now, every proposal needs must have a budget. You cannot leave your proposal without infusing into it a detailed budget, and also provide justification for your budget, for the funders to look at, and also provide the funds for you to execute the project. Budget, this session provide a breakdown of the project cost, and therefore provide also reason for them to, release those funds for your project. There are key elements you need to look at. First, you need to look at personnel, materials, equipment, and travel. Then you need to also provide explanation of how you will use the funds. Then you must also match the funds with your own personal contribution if you are going to provide a contribution to the project. In doing this, you must, first of all, record items and their estimate cost, their estimated cost, from vendors. For instance, there are projects that there are equipment that you need for your project. Then you maybe, without doing market survey, you put in an arbitrary cost. At the end of maybe releasing the funds to you, you may not be able to procure such equipment. So you must, first of all, do a market survey of those equipment that you are going to use to incorporate them in your proposal, and also infuse the fluctuation of currency so that when eventually the funds are released, you can procure those equipment. You must also know that there are some restrictions on expenses that a funding organization will not support. So make sure you align your project with those items that are fundable, and make sure that you do not include those items that are not fundable provided by the funders. Now, after submission, before you submit your proposal, you must do an evaluation plan. You explain how the project's success will be measured. This aspect must be captured. A key element must be, you need to provide indicators for success, tools and methods that you are going to use, for analysis, and how you intend to report the outcomes to the funders. Also, you must also provide sustainability plan, which means that if the funders stop funding your project, how do you intend to continue in case the project need to, outlive the lifespan from the funders? Therefore, you need to provide the opportunity, for you to continue with the project. Therefore, you need to plan for long-term funding or revenue generation. If you have opportunity to work with other partners, then you must provide such details in your proposal to state that, yes, this proposal will be funded by you, but additional funds will be drawn from XY company or corporation that is also interested in this proposal. Then you need to integrate into existing programs and structure. For instance, an office who also support research, counterpart funding is also allowed. Then you need to also provide strategies for building capacity and securing partners. For instance, for every proposal you submitted, you must provide in details how you intend to build capacity for those, either the staff or those that are going to be part of that project. And also ensure that for those that are going to partner with you, you must also protect their interest. Now, the last part of your proposal is the appendix. This is where you provide supplementary information, to support your proposal. In providing the appendix, you need to look at, one, letters of support from collaborators and partners that are partnering with you in your project. Then you can also attach to your grant proposal organizational chart, resumes of key personnel that are going to take part in the project, then proof of non-profit status. For instance, if it is a non-profit status organization, it must be stated. Then at times you also attach a certificate of registration of your organization to the proposal for submission. Now, there are other formats of grant writing. We have the logical framework approach. These have to do with a narrative grant format. In this long frame is often used for international development projects and provides clarity on the project's objective and how to measure its success. There are different components of the narrative grant format. It has introduction. It has the goal of the project, which is more or less a broader, description of the project. Then the project purpose, which means the immediate outcome or effect that the project aims to achieve. The outcome, which is specific product or deliverables from the project. Then the activities, which is the action or tasks that will be undertaken, to achieve this output. Now, in a narrative format, after the long format, you have the narrative format. The proposal in narrative format is usually a story-like structure. This format allows for a more detailed, persuasive explanation of the project. And the narrative format is commonly used in proposals for foundations or private sector grants, and usually includes the following details, which means it has introduction, which provide a brief background about the organization, its missions and history. Problem statement, which provide the issue that the project seeks to address. Then project description, which is provide an elaborate project objective with the methodology and the work plan. Then evaluation, which is to describe the project and how the success and the impact will affect the population or the benefiting host community. Then sustainability, which I've talked about before, how you intend to continue the project once some funding ends. Now, having done that, you need to review, before you submit, you need to conduct a reviewing process. In reviewing your grant, this aspect is very key and is very crucial, because here you want to ensure that your writing is accurate. You want to ensure completeness, and you also want to ensure that you adhere to the funder's requirement. Review and submission is a systematic approach, where you review and prepare your submission. The likelihood of the proposal, to be considered favorably. There are steps you need to take when you want to review your proposal before you submit. There is internal review, which is within the organization. The aim is to look at the content accuracy. Does the project align with the funder's guidelines? Are there so many grammatical errors? Or are we using maybe in typing, we have so many typographical errors, unclear phrasing, and so many things. So the second or third party member will be able to spot some of these errors, then which might likely be corrected before submission. Then technical review, which means that the reviewer must seek feedback from experts who has technical knowledge of your proposal to look at the technical accuracy and the methodologies that you tend to deploy in solving the problem. Then you also look at the budget verification, do a lot of calculation, not to give wrong figures, to the funders, because you need to double check and repeat your calculations to ensure that you are very sure that the figures you are requesting for is the right amount. Then you can also look for external reviewer outside your organization. You can share your proposal with an external person, probably your mentor if he has the time, or he or she has the time. You can also share with collaborators, both of those that are writing the proposal with you, or your partners could also help you to review the proposals and get constructive feedbacks. You can also utilize the grant officer. For instance, in most organizations now, you now have the Directorate of Research. So the Director of Research can be a willing team member, to review every grant coming out from the institution. So, and provide maybe the board, if there's a board, or individual, the reviewers, his comment for implementation. Now, after you have done the revision, you need to finalize, then you need to pick all the reviewers' comment and incorporate them into the document. Update the document to address any gap, if there are any. If none, that means you are good to go to submit your proposal. Now, before you submit, you need to do a verification, which means you need to compare the checklist from the funding organization. You will ask, when I started this presentation, I talked about the format and those materials that are required, or to prepare your proposal. We talk about the cover letter. You will check, is the cover letter ready? Yes, you tick. Proposal narrative, is it well done and is ready? Yes. What about budget and budget justification? Yes, it's ready. What about letter of support from partners and collaborators? Is it ready? Yes, you tick. Then what about organizational credentials? For instance, certificate of registration and Gantt chart. Certificate of registration of your organization. Then personnel. I've forgotten the word now. When I remember, I'll say it. You need those documents, the flow chart of your organization in terms of management. You can attach that document, for reviewers to evaluate. Then you also need to attach to your submission sustainability plan for the project. So these are the checklists you need to look at before you submit your proposal. Then, before you preparing for submission, there are different routes where you can submit your proposal. If it is an online submission, then you need to go to the funders portal, or you log into their website and eventually upload your proposal for submission. If the funders provided an email for submission, then you also have to look at which format are they requesting for your proposal. Is it in Word document or in PDF? Then you have to attach all these documents, according to the guideline provided. Include a professional email body, for instance, an organizational email, which they can easily contact you. Then you can also submit your proposal either in hard copy form.
Okay,
it means
is
that
it related to the woman?
You can print the proposal on a high quality paper, use very strong binding
two of them
folders.
are brothers.
Can some of us mute ourselves, please? Can we mute ourselves, please? I'm almost
That
rounding
one
up.
is our husband's brother.
Can we mute ourselves, please? Then you need to also double check your mailing address and deadlines, for in case the funders want to use courier to deliver the outcome of your proposal. Then after submission, you need to get a confirmation. Then after confirmation, you follow up, then feedback and results. If successful, you will be contacted and prepared for signing of agreement or signing of contract with the funders. Then if unsuccessful, politely ask the funder, for details, for detailed feedback, for instance, on your proposal. This shows how your professionalism and your willingness to improve in future submission. Then key evaluation criteria. For instance, the funders have some specific criteria which they benchmark your proposal, your submission with. For instance, is your submission relevant to the funder's goals? If yes, then your proposal will be reviewed. Is it clear enough in terms of supporting evidence that you need to attach to provide an informed decision on your proposal? If yes, then you have ticked the evaluation criteria. Then is your methodology feasible? Most often time, we choose methods that are not fixable, either by way of not having the right equipment in the lab, and maybe possibly we need to travel out of our locations to carry out those research, and maybe the funding may not support that kind of travels. It means that the method you have chosen is not feasible, bearing in mind your current challenges in terms of research equipment. Is your project highly innovative and with high level of impact? Yes, then you have met the key criteria for evaluation. Then, is your budget realistic and provided justification? If yes, then you have met the criteria. And also sustainability aspect, evaluation plan, all these need to be properly looked at before you submit your submit your proposal, because these are the benchmark they are going to use to evaluate your proposal. Now, there are other additional considerations which you may just add as a way of improving your chances. Partnership and collaboration is key. Qualifications of the project team, the team members, their qualification, their resume should be attached, for an informed decision. Then compliance with application guidelines. Did you follow the format, the length, and the deadlines? All these adhered to. Then this will give you a better opportunity, to win the grant. Then when you receive feedback, please try as much as possible to be open-minded. Treat feedback as constructive criticism, not personal judgment. And also document lessons learned for future proposal development. Then if you think, for instance, you do not have the necessary knowledge, you can seek mentorship. Engage with an experienced grant writer, like our facilitator today, Dr. Akanimo Odon, is an experienced grant writer. He has won a lot of grants, and that is why we brought him in today to be part of this webinar. Then you can also practice resilience. When you receive rejection, it is common with academics or writers. It means that you need to do more, to ensure that your next submission comes out successful. In conclusion, writing and submitting a grant proposal is a strategic process that requires careful planning, clear communication, and strict adherence to funders' guidelines. Therefore, grant proposal writing is not just about securing resources, but about building relationships with funders, also advancing your organization's mission and creating meaningful a sustainable impact through your project. Therefore, we need to continuously identify funding opportunities, to develop a compelling proposal and ensure a thorough review. Each step contributes to our chances of success in the future. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope to engage with you. Thank you.